Hi friends, hope you are doing well. I'm Dr. Ganguly. Welcome to my channel. So today we are going to look at some possibilities in Switzerland for people who want to do research, either as a research fellow, as a PhD, or as a postdoc. So there are many people who would like to do research in Switzerland, and Switzerland is one of the countries which is typically rated as a very high technology country, very advanced developed country. And also Switzerland gives very good salaries and stipends to PhDs and postdocs. So considering these things, let us look at more details about the Swiss government excellence scholarships. So these scholarships are essentially given for foreign scholars and artists. They are given by a body known as the Federal Commission for Scholarships for Foreign Students. So that's FCS. And essentially the people who qualify for these scholarships are researchers who have completed their MS or PhD, and also artists with bachelor's degree. So this is not only an opportunity for typical people who have done degrees in science and technology, but also for artists, and this is a very good opportunity for such people. So let's look at these cases separately. I will first look at the case of the research fellowships, and then I will look at the case for the scholarships for the artist type of people. Now essentially, if we look at the research fellowship, you can do a PhD or postdoc here, and this can be in whatever discipline you want. So essentially this is an open scholarship, and it even includes medical people, so it's very broad in scope. You can work at the Swiss universities, at the Swiss Federal Institutes of Technologies, the Universities of Applied Sciences, and several of the research institutes in Switzerland. Now, of course, one of the important things in any of these type of foundation postdocs is that you have to find a local host in Switzerland, typically a professor, who is going to supervise your research work. And this person is very important. You need to be nominated by this professor or supervisor of the institute, and you need to enclose a formal letter from this person and a short CV of this person with your application. So essentially, as I have mentioned in some previous videos, specifically with respect to Germany, that finding hosts for named postdocs are always difficult. And so what you need to know is that you need to figure out from your own research and literature survey as to who are the good people in Switzerland working on your field. And one of the ways is to go to Google Scholar, type in whatever field you are working on. Suppose it is smart materials and structures, and then also type Switzerland, and then you are going to get all the researchers and the papers who have published from Switzerland. So essentially this is going to throw at you many publications, and then if you go and see the people who have written those papers, you can find out some of the prospective hosts who you can send emails to. And after sending a plethora of emails, you may find a person who is a good host for you. So again, whenever you are doing your literature survey, don't just consider it an onerous, difficult task. Also look at the different names of the various people who have been writing papers and so on, so you know the people, the institutions where active work is going on in your area. This is going to be very important for you later. And if you want, you can keep some notes about this, maybe in an Excel spreadsheet or somewhere else, about who are the different professors in your field, what are their institutes, what are their emails, and a short paragraph about what is the research which they do. This is going to help you down the road. Now, beside this host, you need to find a good research topic and write a research proposal with the timeline. So again, this research proposal is typically going to be written in conjunction with the host professor, because of course, while this research proposal should be important to you, it should be also something which motivates the host professor to let you come there, and the host professor should have competence in the field so that he or she can guide your research. So again, remember that broach a research topic with this particular prospective supervisor and zoom onto a research problem with him or her. Now let's look at the different type of fellowships which are there. There is a research fellowships of 12 month. In this case there is no prolongation, so I guess this is for somebody who has done a master's degree and just wants to do research for 1 year in Switzerland. There is a PhD fellowship, and this fellowship is for 12 months, but it can be renewed up to a period of 36 months. So essentially they are giving you 1 to 3 years to finish your PhD. I doubt you can finish your PhD in 1 year, so 3 years looks like a reasonable time, and so you need to keep performing well in your PhD research for this to be renewed. There is also a postdoctoral fellowship, and this is for a period of 12 months. Now let's talk about the salary. So the salary as far as the research fellowship and the PhD fellowship is concerned is 1,920 Swiss franc per month, and in case of the postdoctoral fellowship it is 3,500 Swiss franc per month. Now they clearly mention that this is a scholarship for one person and it is enough to provide your subsistence, and you should look at it as a stipend, not as a salary. So I would say that Switzerland is also a relatively expensive country, so you should plan for that. You should plan for living in some place which is reasonably priced so that you can manage your time with this kind of stipend. Now let's look at some of the aspects which go into the selection process. So in the selection process they have mentioned the academic profile of the candidate, the research capacity, the motivation, and the research project, its originality and methods which are proposed, and if they can be completed within the given timeline. So to condense this or to process this information, I would say you need to have a reasonably good CV. Certainly any publications are useful. If you have published in any conference or journal, that's going to add value to your CV. If not, make sure that you have good grades and you have a good thesis, because in case you do not have papers and all, you can always send your thesis to the prospective host. So remember, even before you come in front of the selection committee, you have to convince the host that it's worthwhile to host you in Switzerland, and so this person is going to be more responsive to you if you were to send the PDF file of a journal paper or a conference paper which you have written during your master's or your PhD process. Now, as far as motivation is concerned, people try to figure out motivation from the quantity and quality of the work a person has performed during their previous degrees. So make sure that you have a good grade point, you have gone to conferences or you have written journal papers, and you have also picked problems which are interesting. So don't try to work on very dated or classical problems in the field. Try to work on the modern problems in your field. That's always going to be useful for you. So they also look at the quality and context of supervision. So again, pick professors who are known experts in the field. So again, that is going to be always helpful to you. But I would suggest that do not only zoom into the top universities like the federal labs in Zurich and so on, because sometimes what happens is that too many people apply for one or two institutions and the scholarship may be distributed out across a variety of institutions, because remember, there are many professors who are out there. They are all good and they can certainly serve as supervisors for your project. So it's quite likely that if you apply to more normal institutions in Switzerland which also have a good standing in your particular field, your chances may actually be better. Now you have to fill in various things in the application. It seems there are also paper copies of the application, so check with the detailed information which is out there. I am going to try to put a link for the information in the description box in my video. So you also need to check with the particular factors about applications in your own country. So remember that there may be different requirements for different countries and so on, and I would say that one of the ways to get more information on these things is sometime the embassy of Switzerland in your home country, because generally these people will be able to point you toward important links or to give you information about the process as far as the application is concerned. Now, of course, this is a competitive process, and the process itself is often very complicated in many foundation type of postdocs and PhDs, and I have concluded that one of the reasons is that this process itself acts as a pre-filter, and if you survive this process, then you are probably ready to do the PhD or postdoc. So they are making sure that non-serious candidates do not even bother to apply to these processes, because they are going to be quite jaded by the complexity of the process, writing the proposal, finding a host, and so on. This does require a lot of motivation to continue, because there are going to be adverse scenarios out there. You are going to get a lot of silence from various prospective hosts, and so you have to continue the process till somebody comes along who actually agrees to host your visit. Remember, professors and scientists are very busy, and they are often deluged by emails from people around the world, because everybody wants to get into one of these named fellowship, but only a few of these candidates are probably those who have a good resume, who have the capability to actually do research, write papers, and write thesis, and so on. So the professor does not want to generally respond to every email possible. So again, if you have built up some connections through your own PhD supervisors or by talking to them in conferences, it is always helpful, because in that case you can begin your email by saying, look, I met you in this conference here, and I was impressed by your work, and so I would like to work with you. So in that case you can get a good response from this person. So if you go to various conferences, don't just present your paper and go back to your room. Try to interact with the various people, talk to them, so you can build some kind of a network. Now let's look at the art scholarship. So the art scholarship requires you to have a bachelor's degree. This is for a 12-month period, but it can be extended to up to 21 months, and you can take part in any of the master's degree programs for the art scholarship. The stipend here is again 1,920 per month. So it is also quite good stipend as far as artists are concerned. So I think if you are a person in the art, you can go to Switzerland and not necessarily starve there if you get this particular fellowship. So again, I am going to point out that there are many more specific details which you can take a look at. So I will give you the link, and then you can spend your free time during weekends looking at that information, and certainly give it a chance. Apply to this fellowship and scholarship, because there is no application fee. So unlike many universities which actually charge you pretty high application fees for PhD admissions, here there is no charge. So you can apply, and if you have a reasonably good scenario, I would say you can have a possibility of going to Switzerland, studying, as well as living for a year or more in a very touristy destination, memories of which you can carry with yourself for the rest of your life. So that was my video for today, and I will see you in a video sometime soon. See you then.